You're listening to Overwatch Contenders Daily, your path to daily news, scores, and insights into the Overwatch League stars of tomorrow. Here's your host, LemonKiwi.
Hey Overwatch fans, it's me, Jen, or LemonKiwi. You're listening or watching to Overwatch Contenders Daily. Today, we're going to have some knowledge bombs, and that's because I have Fusion University, the only undefeated team in North American Contenders, their head coach, Aaron Atkins, to talk about their matchup against Mayhem in the quarterfinals, talk about things like Zachary's Sombra play, dealing with tank compositions, and the ping issues for some of their players that are actually in Korea. And also their confidence heading up against Optic Academy in the semifinals. But first, let's get into some Contenders news. So this is week-old news, but it's still pretty exciting. Izayaki, I'm going to butcher that name, I apologize. Izayaki, a player from the Korean Contenders team Foxes, was picked up by the LA Valiant, and he plays flex support. So congratulations to all our Contenders players that get to move up to the Overwatch League. Number 2, news was dropped during the Contenders cast today that semifinals and grand finals of the North American and European Contenders will be held in Poland. No details where in Poland or when the date is, but still very exciting news that all the players get to travel to such a wonderful place and don't have to worry about online ping and things like that. And the third and final news, Open Division signups have closed and the matches will be starting soon. But if you're interested in catching maybe the up-and-coming Contenders teams that might come from Open Division, Broadcast GG will be hosting a broadcast, an Open Division broadcast where they will be casting and trying to cover the matches that the teams allow them to come in and cast in. So make sure you check them out if you want to get a taste of some Open Division. But that's it for the news. Let's get into my interview with Aaron Atkins. So I'm here with Aaron Atkins, the head coach of Fusion University, who just took the hottest and quickest 3-0 that I think we've seen in playoffs so far. And I was just telling you how it was the quickest VOD review I think you or I are ever going to have to do in our lives. So but to first touch on the regular season, you guys are like the Game 5 champs. Like every single match that you guys have played have gone to Game 5 except the bye week one. So you guys have a 100% win rate on map 1, such as on Ilios, and especially on Oasis, obviously, in Game 5. But what are your weaknesses sort of in the middle of the game types?
Yeah, so I joke with our marketing team all the time that it's planned. We're just trying to have the most entertaining games as possible. But it's funny, coming into Contenders Season 1, with our performance in both Pit and Beat Invitational, we were widely considered one of, if not the best team coming in. And so that title kind of comes with some benefits, but also some disadvantages. It's definitely a double-edged sword. So, we definitely are able to ride that momentum and make stuff happen. But on the same coin, especially with Contenders starting on a new patch when it first started, a lot of teams are going to be copying what we were doing, and that they copied them or they counter-stratted them. So a lot of the things that we would come across were things that maybe we weren't necessarily expecting. We saw some in scrims, but it was interesting because we saw a lot of teams mirror what we were doing, or just completely run these comps that try to shut down a Tracer or Sombra. So while that maybe played a little bit of a factor, I think the biggest thing is that sometimes we just get ahead of ourselves. So when things go well, or if things maybe don't go so well, fight doesn't go our way, we overextend once here, or we waste an ultimate there. Those little things kind of add up. We make some mistakes here and there that end up costing us the map in the long run. And but one of the things that our guys are so good at, and you have to think, our guys are super young. We have 2 guys that are 18, 2 that are 17, 2 that are 16, and you're looking at kids that are playing here that actually have incredible mental fortitude to be able to pull it back in the Game 5, to focus on fundamental play, and really shine when they're under pressure. And I'm super proud for our guys to be able to do that. But I think that mostly it was just us kind of getting ahead of ourselves and just having a little bit of sloppy play in tournament play. Which I think for the most part we cleared up, but one of the things that is interesting for our team is that middle of the season, I kind of anticipated us maybe struggling on a couple maps because what I wanted to do was I don't just want to build our team to be the best team of contenders. I want to build our team to be one of the best teams in the world in the long run. I want to build these players that are going to be Overwatch League superstars. So in doing that and working on team cohesion and working on these players, it's a thing where maybe we suffer a little bit in our season now, but in 2 weeks and 3 weeks and a month, we're on top of our game and far and away ahead of everybody else. And so we definitely went through a little bit of growing pains, some stretching in the way that we were reorganizing some of the ways that we approach our strategies, some of the ways that we do our setups, our comms. And that's kind of something that we've expected because, like I said, with my players, I want to make sure that they're the best that they can possibly be, not just the best in contenders now. And so I'm largely dedicated to how they're going to perform, 6 months, a year down the line, not just this upcoming week. So all of those things kind of put together, I think is kind of why we ended up going to game fives a lot. And in our bracket, if you compare kind of the strengths of going into these brackets, like Group A versus Group B, I think Group A was very top heavy, whereas Group B had, slightly, it was more of a smooth curve up until kind of bye week.
Yeah.
But it definitely was overall a harder bracket in my opinion, because a lot of these teams were coming in with a lot of hype, with a lot of momentum from within the team, and it ends up being a fun set of matches because maybe we're going through growing pains, but these teams that are doing well now look better. Not to BM anybody or say that anyone's not good or anything.
Well, they're going through growing pains too, and they're adjusting, and they're going through the same in-game mistakes that you are. So to summarize all those factors, sort of a mix of mistakes in-game, because it was sort of your win rates are a lot of 50-50s on a lot of these game types. So it's a lot of, you're saying, attributing to in-game mistakes, and then, having such a young squad, kind of some growing pains as a squad and communication. But you guys are able to keep that composure and bring it to game 5 and ultimately win it every single time. So the mental fortitude, as you said, is quite strong with your team, especially with how young they are. But going into the next question, where you touched upon the compositions and the strategies that you guys are playing, you guys seem to play a lot of, let's say, Sombra Tracer, mainly Who Are You on the Tracer and Zachary on the Sombra. So throughout, in this match against who you guys played, could you compare maybe the playstyle between Za and Zachary, and why maybe Zachary's Sombra play was so much more dominant than Za's?
Sure. So when we originally worked on creating Sombra comps and strategies around them, we worked on figuring out what we felt like worked best within our team, as well as theoretically what's best. And we landed on the comp that we play it mostly, which is the Zen Lucio with Sombra Tracer, and the reason we do that is because Zachary is a very flexible player. Not just in heroes that he can play, it's that the way you play. There's a lot of different ways that you can play Sombra. You can play her very offensively, or you can play her very passively and use her in like a peel style where you hack the tanks that come in. And you can do both of those things, and as long as your team can adapt and play that style as well. And so one of the things that we tried to do was learn how to do both of those and be able to quickly change it on the fly based on what we're facing and the opponents that we're facing, what we're seeing. And I think that's where our strength comes in. Is you'll see us play Sombra where it's very oppressive. Sombra and Tracer are in your back line. You have to deal with them. Or sometimes we'll be playing Sombra with our back line and completely destroying your tanks that come in. So I think that's our strength. It's not just Zachary being a good Sombra. It's that we're playing Sombra in different ways and quick and alternating how we play it on the fly. Where I think Mayhem, in looking through Mayhem, the way that they play their Sombra was always very passive from what we saw. Not something that we were super worried about having to deal with. So the passive style versus the aggressive style, it has its strengths and weaknesses, but It was more that we knew how to play against it because we had been putting a lot of time into Sombra. And we were more concerned with making sure that Mike Ye's Tracer didn't have a lot of room to work. So I'm pretty happy with how today went. I think it was particularly dominant.
For sure, you guys were crushing that game, and especially how well Zachary can play with Who Are You and the rest of the tanks. Whereas I felt like Zaw's playstyle was a little bit more separated from the rest of the team, and maybe that's why he didn't get as much, let's say, peel and backup as maybe someone like Zachary did, for example. But I was a little bit worried about you guys, not going to lie, when we came on Nepal Village, when Mayhem brought out the triple tank Moira and with the Reaper, and I was, oh my God, it's kind of a scary composition to go up against. So how do you guys deal with those tankier compositions?
Yeah, so we actually fully expected them to run that. We knew that they had been favoring that, and it's a style that, looking back historically on when Dive originally gained popularity in our bubble, was back when triple tank comps were very popular. And Dive overtook it because you could play range, you could take angles, and you could pressure them from afar, build your ults, and win off of ults. And one of the ways that the Triple Tank Reaper thrives is in a very specific map setting with very specific ranges that it's optimal in. So as long as you reduce those advantages to very small windows, and you capitalize off of using different angles and proper engagement windows, knowing when's the real true time to engage, like what's the best. That's why we took so long on those first couple of fights, is we wanted to make sure that we had the right engagement. That's so important, especially on Koth. And so we took our time, we built our ults, we took our angles, and then we engaged and found our opportunity. And it's something that, I don't, while it may be strong on Village, I don't see triple tank coming back right now in the patch that we're currently playing, just because Dive, when played properly, is just so good against it for those reasons. And so all we did was take the fundamentals of Dive and apply them to that map and that comp, and just played it well and played it coordinated.
Well, I think it was very well coordinated, especially when the other team plays a Zarya. You got to worry about that Graviton, and when Za threw out the Graviton, there was nobody in the way. You guys played so far apart knowing that ultimate was there, and even when a Death Blossom came out later after that, your diva was right there to matrix all of it. I think you guys not only played against the composition well, but against the ultimates that you were facing. And I was worried, but you guys took, the whole series and that map pretty convincingly. So, which leads me to my next question, still leading on to compositions. We saw Elk play a little bit of Ana, either in this match and throughout the regular season. So for new Overwatch fans or new Overwatch players out there, why do you guys play, let's say, Ana a few of these maps? We saw Mayhem play the Mercy. That wasn't a support that you guys rely on. But why do you guys rely on Elk on the Ana?
Sure. So the support player in that role, the one that plays your Lucio or your Mercy a lot, that's actually a really interesting role in this meta, because there's a lot of different ways that you can play it. When we're running the Ana, usually it's a situation where we're not too worried about protecting our Zen, but we're more concerned about how our tanks are going to play, and what kind of space and positioning our tanks are going to be taking. And usually when we're playing Ana, it's because we want our tanks to be bullying the enemy tanks. And so then what you do is you take that as like your main focal point, and you advance on it with the other parts of Anna's kit. So her sleep and her nade being particularly good against tank comps or comps that clump together a lot. You can really capitalize off them not being able to heal at all, whether it's just one target or six. And then sometimes we'll play Lucio in certain comps because we're expecting pressure on our backline, and we have set rotations or places that we want to move our Zen. Because Zen is one of the most important heroes in this meta, with the amount of damage he puts out and how oppressive his Discord is and how game-changing his ult is. He becomes this priority hero that, depending on the map layout, depending on the teams you're facing or the comp you're facing, there's different ways that you want to protect your Zen. If it's Lucio, you're kind of expecting to be able to kite or be able to utilize the Lucio boop as much as possible. And sometimes we'll play Mercy. Usually if we're doing that, it's because we want to pocket somebody, reduce the impact that a pick has, like if we're facing a Widow, or if we just want to tank the dive, pocket our Zen and let our Zen go ham. We're lucky to have Alarm, who who is an incredible Zen. His aim on Zen is incredible, and he's great.
Yeah,
at
ZP
dueling.
called him the young Jonak. He's getting
it's
quite the
funny.
name in Contenders. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because he and Jonak are actually really good friends. And you see a lot of the stylistic similarities with this play. So we have the ability to change the other support role to match what we think is going to best fit our Zen's play style on the map versus certain comps, or enable our tanks in certain ways. So that's kind of why we play different sports.
Well, it's very interesting to hear, of course, your perspective on why your team would run a certain support over another. And then the casters brought up something interesting today, and how Who Are You and Alarm are actually from Korea. So you guys have, I guess, in these online matches, some maybe unfavorable scenarios where those players are playing on servers that might have a higher ping due to where it is. So do you as a coach see a difference in performance when they're on these unfavorable servers, or are they just making a big deal out of nothing?
No, it's definitely a big deal. The servers that they're playing on, whether it's US West, US East, and US West, they're usually getting about 160 ping, 170.
Yeah.
On US East, it gets up to sometimes 220. I think one tournament we had to play them with 240 ping, and that is nearly unplayable.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we try to do is it's honestly one of the coolest things to be able to watch Who Are You and Alarm from my perspective, is because they're so strong mentally and emotionally that they can deal with this, because it's not just something about having a delay. It ends up affecting everything about how you play, and it's very frustrating.
Yeah, frustrating for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see a lot if you watch Who Are You play. It's most noticeable for Who Are You because when he's Genji blading, a lot of his blades on his screen hit, but on the server they don't hit because they're far away. So a lot of times his blades will look kind of scuffed because he'll be expecting a dash reset that he won't get, or sometimes on Tracer he'll recall, but the recall doesn't go through. And it's just kind of an unfortunate thing with the situation right now. But going forward, we're probably not going to be having that issue much longer. We are expecting to get them in NA fairly soon, overcoming all the logistical stuff and getting them here. And so they won't have to deal with it much longer, but there definitely is a performance note that's noticeable, the difference that's very noticeable, particularly with the heroes Who Are You plays.
Well, I mean, you guys are dealing with it now, but not when you go to Poland on LAN, right? So that's super exciting. Get to play on LAN. I mean, minus maybe some jet lag going on. That'll be the only thing you might have to worry about. But you guys will get to face Optic Academy, which, wow, we talked about how we jinxed it. I thought Gladiators were going to win, but Optic took the game 5, so you guys are going to be facing them. So how confident are you in your team on a LAN setting now that you don't have to worry about the ping thing? And what are you going to prepare for against these particular players?
Sure. So I'm extremely confident. I mean, Who Are You is literally the Apex Season 2 MVP, and him being able to play on LAN is honestly it's awesome. It's awesome to watch, and it's awesome to be able to provide that experience with our guys. I know that both of our supports and both of our DPS have played on LAN before. Our tanks haven't yet, so that'll be something. But I'm super confident with them going forward. Right now we're not on a team house, and so being able to come together and play together in person and be able to fix stuff easily, like together there, I mean, it's going to be awesome. We're looking forward to it. We're super excited about it. And for Optic, I thought Gladiators was going to be the ones going. Kudos to Optic for pulling it through. I actually kind of wanted Gladiators to win because we actually scrim them a lot. They're one of our main scrim partners, and we feel pretty confident against them. Optic's playstyle is very different from most other playstyles in Contenders right now. So we know what we're going to have to do. I'm not going to get too detailed about it.
We don't want to leak any strategies here, but
Optic's very coordinated and very quick on the way that they dive, which is something that a lot of other teams aren't doing right now. Being able to deal with the oppressive dive and how good Sharp is probably going to be the main thing that we prepare for. We do have a few weeks before it actually happens, so we have the time to sit down and revamp some of our stuff and revisit all of our stuff. But yeah, we're super excited for LAN, and I'm calling it now. we're taking it. We're taking the whole thing.
Oh, the confidence.
So
we love to hear it.
Here.
And I mean, also that you guys have actually played Optic in the regular season where you guys won Game 5. So maybe not the convincing win we wanted to see in regular season, but I think we're unbiasedly confident in you, of course. I think it'll be a super good match, especially when Optic took that Game 5 against Gladiators. They look like they're hungry for the win too. And I think the best team will win. And I think it's going to be exciting to see you guys at Poland. I hope you guys have a great trip. And thank you for coming on to the interview.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I love what you guys are doing here, and I definitely appreciate the opportunity.
Well, that will be it for Overwatch Contenders Daily. I'm LemonKiwi, and this was the wonderful Aaron Atkins. Check out his their match for Fusion University against Optic in Poland in the unannounced dates in Poland. So I'm super excited. I hope you guys have a wonderful night.